Kyle Shanahan let the cat out of the bag. He expects Christian McCaffrey to play against the Buccaneers on Sunday. That's obviously good. But I actually think it's way better than people even realize. I think he's even going to help the 49ers defense. How? I'll explain next on today's Gold Diggers podcast, brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the Gold Diggers podcast on the Gold Standard and the Fans First Sports Network. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. She's Michelle Majuk. Michelle, it's Friday. Guess what? The 49ers play football again this weekend.
And it's like a really exciting game, I think. I love that they're not playing a hard defense. I love that they're coming out of this bye with so many of their guys having that break to get healthy, to get Christian McCaffrey back, and they get to play a really bad defense. That's my favorite part about it. I know it's on the road, and I know I've said this a few times and then they end up losing, but I do think they're going to smash them as long as the defense, doesn't fall apart in the fourth quarter.
We're going to break down this game. We'll give you our best bets as well. But first, let's just start right out of the gate with the best news of the day. And that actually came yesterday. Kyle Shanahan was on KMBR and he all but confirmed Christian McCaffrey is back.
He's been awesome these last 2 days, so hopefully that continues to go well, and expect to get him out there. And you never know for a setback or anything, but these 2 days have been great, and expect to see him out there.
So earlier on Wednesday, he said he wasn't going to make any public acknowledgments of Christian McCaffrey being back until kickoff, and then 2 days later, he said, "Yeah, I expect to see him out there." I think that tells you how good he's looked coming back from the injury.
And I mean, if he's not okay now, then he's not going to be okay, right? Like they've given him 2 months to, heal up. So if he's not good to go now, then it's just not going to happen for him this year. So they need him back so bad for multiple reasons, but we know the red zone issues. They've been bad this year, really, really bad. And if he can come in and help them in that area, then this offense can be insanely good because they're already putting up so many yards. They have the second most total yards in the league this year. They're doing so well until they hit that red zone, and then they're just kicking field goals, the third highest rate of any team this year of field goals made on drives. So if they can turn the field goals into touchdowns, man, they're going to be unstoppable.
B. Mills, 1987, says, Fridays with Michelle, MVP of the network, made me about $200 this year in daily fantasy thanks to her advice. We have been killing it betting-wise this year. It's crazy. Like, we've been on a heater, but whatever, man. We'll take it. And we'll continue to give our betting advice. Again, we'll do that a little bit later in the show. Yes, Christian McCaffrey is going to help the offense, and I want to get to that. But I actually, my hot take today is I actually think he helps the defense, Michelle. And the reason is, because Brock is going to take checkdowns now. He was leaving guys open on checkdowns all year. For whatever reason, but he doesn't do that when McCaffrey's in. He takes the checkdown to McCaffrey. And I think that's going to help keep the offense on schedule. It's going to help keep the offense on the field longer, which means the defense is going to be off the field longer. And I think he's going to help the Niners score more, which is going to tilt the game in the Niners defense's favor. This defense is at their best when they don't have to worry about the run game and they can use and lean into that secondary, which has played really, really well this year. If the Niners have bigger leads and score more points, that makes the other team have to play right into the defense's hands. And I think that's what we're going to see.
Absolutely. And then also a good point you made earlier this week that I think you already said it on one of your podcasts about the turnovers that the 49ers have with McCaffrey on the field versus off. Like they split in half, right? That's going to help the defense too. Like if they're not turning over the ball and putting the 49ers in the bad spots, that's another area where they're going to help this defense be better. The defense does have to show up, and this is not going to be an easy game for them. I know Baker doesn't have Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, but he was still doing it against the Chiefs defense, especially like when they get into the fourth quarter, Baker's going to throw it up. Baker's been playing really, really well this year. So this defense, it's not going to be a give me game for them. They have to show up and they have to play well.
And by the way, defense,
put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
Be better in the fourth quarter. We can't continue to allow 9 points in the fourth quarter. That, again, that's going to be the other thing, too. You want to have a lead that's so damn big going into the fourth quarter that it doesn't freaking matter if the other team scores a touchdown. And I get it. Like, I could totally be just sniffing the jock of Christian McCaffrey or looking at this through rose-colored glasses.
Gross. Yeah, say that instead of the first thing you just said.
Like, I get it. Here's the thing.
I don't give a
I think when he comes back, if he's what he is, I think they're going to look like a completely different team. I think they're going to smash the Buccaneers, and all of a sudden people will be saying, oh no, here come the 49ers.
This is my biggest worry because we've already seen it happen a couple times this year. They get into the fourth quarter with a 10-point lead and they blow it because Baker Mayfield in the fourth quarter has been fantastic. Also, like this year, the Buccaneers are averaging 8.6 points per game in the fourth quarter, third most in the NFL. Well, you just brought up the 49ers in the fourth quarter, allowing nearly 9 points per game, fourth most in the NFL. But Baker's averaging 71 passing yards per game in the fourth quarter, second most among quarterbacks. He has 7 passing touchdowns in the fourth quarter, most through weeks 1 through 9. I say that because Lamar tied him last night. That was an extra game he had. And the 49ers have allowed 5 passing touchdowns in the fourth quarter of the season, tied for third most in the NFL from weeks 1 through 8. Like they can't go into this fourth quarter up 10 points and feeling good. We just saw last week Baker come back against the Chiefs, who have been a much better defense than the 49ers, have that amazing last drive. Now, unfortunately, he called the wrong heads, tails, and that's pretty much all that needs to happen for Patrick Mahomes in overtime. But this scares me. They need to have like I'm not going to feel comfortable unless they have like a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that is disturbing for sure. And the fact that he did that to the Chiefs without Mike Evans and without Chris Conley just goes to show. Godwin. Yeah, what did I say? Chris Conley. Yeah, that's the wrong Chris. He made some throws in that Chiefs game that I said, people get mad when you bring this up, but like those are number 1 draft pick throws. Like just freaking strikes, man. Baker's got an
Sterling Shepard, and I can't even name another guy. Obviously Kate Otten is our biggest worry this week, but like he's throwing to nobodies, and he still did that against the Chiefs defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Baker is playing well right now, and credit to him, and good for him, really, because I've always liked Baker Mayfield. I know he rubs some people the wrong way. I hope he stinks this week, obviously, but I really do think that the Christian McCaffrey thing is going to help in so many ways. Kyle Shanahan was on KMBR yesterday, and I'm not going to play it because it's really long, but I'll just paraphrase what he said. It's basically like when you go into a game and you have one player that's pretty much unstoppable one-on-one, it makes everything else so much easier because 2 things happen. Either 1, you try to cover that guy one-on-one and he kicks your ass, or 2, you have to double him in some way. And when you do that, I know where the space is going to be in the defense. I know exactly where the holes are going to be and where everybody else is going to be open. And I can use that player to dictate where that space is going to be. And we know when Kyle knows where the space is going to be, he's going to destroy you. And he's going to find ways to get the ball to Deebo Samuel, who that's what he needs is space. You get the ball to Deebo in space, then he can do what he's best at, which is murdering you with the ball in his hands. So the fact that they haven't had that with Christian McCaffrey out, or at least they thought they didn't have that, I would argue that George Kittle is that guy, but maybe I'm wrong. But the fact that Kyle now believes he has that back, I just think we're going to see all the easy buttons for Brock Purdy on Sunday.
I'm really excited for this offense to get back that easy, 7-yard catch on first down, right? Yes. The teams that do that, like Mahomes does that so much, right? Just get a quick 7-yard pass on first down, make it 2nd and 3. That's like the best situation you could be in because defenses don't know at all what you're going to do in that situation. You could throw a deep ball, you could throw intermediate, you can run. Everything is opened up when it's 2nd and 3rd or 2nd and 2, just get that short little, go quick. Christian McCaffrey gets 7 yards, and that's just how you start these drives. I'm excited for that to be back into this offense with him.
Yes. And we started to see that against the Cowboys. We saw some screens, we saw some end arounds and end arounds. Yeah, it's not ends around, it's end arounds. We saw all that stuff against the Cowboys, and that's good. That's encouraging because you want to see that back. Now you throw Christian McCaffrey in this mix. Like you pointed out, the Bucs defense is not good. It's not very good. And I think the 49ers down the second half of this season are going to have to rely on the offense because you can put up points on this defense. You can. And so I think the answer for the 49ers is going to have to be, well, we're going to just score every time, pretty much. Like if our defense sucks, well, we'll just have to keep scoring. And they have the talent and they have the scheme to be able to do it. And I think that's what they're going to have to lean into, especially when they not maybe so much this Sunday, but games against, the Lions and games against the Bills and maybe the Packers, depending on which Jordan Love decides to show up. Like those are the games where I think you're really going to have to lean into that.
And this game in particular, it's such an interesting one, right? Because both teams are kind of in that must-win scenario. I would have loved the Buccaneers to win last week against the Chiefs in overtime. I feel like that would have gave them less urgency to need a win so badly this week because they get to bye, and then their schedule after the bye could not be easier. It is the most pathetic schedule ever. So really, if they would have just won one of these games, like they've lost their last 3 games, if they would have just won one, they would be in a really good spot right now. But now I do think they're going to be playing with a lot more urgency because they can't lose the 4th straight game. That worries me a little bit when a team is desperate for a win. But at the same time, the 49ers are also really, really need to win this game. This is not a game they can let go. But I just don't see that happening. I mean, the Buccaneers have allowed 320 passing yards per game since week 5. You can pass all over them. It doesn't matter. Patrick Mahomes has been doing nothing this year in stats. Mm-hmm. He put up a huge game against them. DeAndre Hopkins came back from life against them. You can have massive, massive performances against this defense. And that's what they have to do. And a big thing, we know they're going to move the ball again. They're going to move the ball between the 20s. They have to get into the end zone. But with Christian McCaffrey, that should be fixed with the red zone issues.
Not to go off on a tangent here, but you changed your little thing under your name. I noticed it says Locked On NFL.
That's my bad because I just did a podcast and I didn't change it.
I don't like it.
Yeah, well, that shouldn't be there.
Well, I'm changing it.
We don't normally have. I'm changing it. We don't normally have that little bottom thing.
I do.
It's normally just our name.
No, that's not true. I like to have my social handle up there so everyone knows I'm at Stats on Fire.
I changed it to Mimosa Michelle. So
there we go.
I do have a mimosa.
Is that from the mimosa mix that I sent you?
It is not. But next time it will be.
All right. See, I'm encouraging your mimosa-ness. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Speaking of good things, let's take a look at the spread in this game. It's getting bigger for the 49ers. And probably I would imagine because of the Christian McCaffrey news. It's all the way up now to 6.5 points. And again, the Niners are on the road. So the home team usually gets 3 points. So the fact that the 49ers are favored by 6.5 points on the road tells you what Vegas thinks about this. I know the Bucs are desperate, but they were also on the field. That defense was on the field for 83 plays against Kansas City. And again, it's a short week for the Bucs. So I see why the spread is up to 6.5.
My only worry is that the 49ers could be up by 20 in the 4th quarter and Baker, just goes, they're not going to come back from 20 in the 4th, but he could score a couple touchdowns there. And then they only end up winning by 5 or 6 or something like that. That would be my biggest concern because they don't let up, right? They could be down by a ton. He's going to they were down against the Ravens by so much. And then they just sort of they just don't give up. So that's my only concern about going with that spread. I think it might be a little too high.
Here's the other part of this. And by the way, if you want to bet on this game, please go ahead and do it with BetUS. They sponsor the show. And don't just do it for that. Do it for the fact that if you do, you can receive 150% on your first deposit and 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. Plus, if you go with BetUS, you get fast and easy deposit and withdrawals, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, and you can get your very own personal account manager. That is the level of service you get with BetUS. So please use them for all your gambling needs. The other part of this, Michelle, is I think that McCaffrey will help with the comebacks because let's say the Niners are up by 10 or 14 in the 4th quarter, and then the other team scores. Niners offense gets the ball back. They're way less likely, number one, to go 3 and out. They're more likely to put up points of their own. But even in the worst case scenario, I feel like they're going to be able to sustain the drive a little bit, to take time off the clock, and to help flip field position, even if they don't score. So again, I know I'm overstating it, and maybe I am, but I feel like it helps in a lot of different angles and areas of the game.
Are we underrating the Buccaneers, I should say? They go into Kansas City last week, right? It's
Mhm.
into Kansas City. They lose by 6 points in overtime. And really, if they probably won the coin toss, they probably win that game, right? Maybe they should have went for 2. Who knows? Because we hate the coaches that go for 2 if they don't get it, and we love them if they go for 2 and they get it.
I love him no matter what. If you go for, I was crushing Todd Bowles. Like, dude,
yeah,
what are
last night bothered me so bad. I really wanted the Ravens to lose. As a Steelers fan, that would have been great for the Steelers. And at the time, I was just too nervous for them to go for 2. I hated it. It really depends on the play call. If it's a great play call and it fails, fine. But if you're going to pass to a backup tight end that's triple covered, and that it's not like it was a long play, it was like that was the play call. It was like his first read. I don't know how. Like, be smart about it, right? If you're going to do it, have a smart play call lined up. But I think maybe like what Baker did against the Chiefs does make me a little nervous. That's all I'll say. And that was on the road.
Right. And like, let's look at the Buccaneers wins. They have great wins. They beat the Commanders in week 1. They beat the Lions in week 2. They've beaten the Eagles. They beat the Saints. Okay, the Saints stink, but they put up 51 on the Saints. Like, those are really good wins. And their losses, they lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Ravens. They lost to the Broncos. That's a little sketchy. The Falcons are not a bad team. They lost to them twice.
That was also in overtime.
Like, they've got a solid, they're 4-5, but like, they're as good of a 4-5 team as you could have, I would say, especially when you consider some of those wins. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but the 49ers are still supposed to be a really good team too. And Deebo Samuel looks like he's going to play in this game. Jawan Jennings looks like he's going to play in this game as well. So you potentially could have, you don't have all the Avengers, obviously, because Brandon Ayuk is there. But if you have Deebo and McCaffrey and Kittle and Jennings and Pearsall, who has looked good in the limited action, and you still have Jordan Mason, who looks like he's going to play, and Garendo, you have your offensive line. Like, let's go again against a bad defense. I know the Bucs are good. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but this is a 49ers team that's designed and should be able to beat good teams too.
And there's no reason they don't put up 30 points in this game. Zero reason. They should have no issues doing that. The only concern is I'm more concerned with the defense on this side. And have they figured the defense is just so inconsistent. This is my problem. You never know what defense you're going to get from them. So that's my biggest worry. Now, if they can't stop Sterling Shepard and Cade Otton, that's going to be, we're going to have to get really worried about this defense moving forward because their schedule only gets harder as it goes on.
The Niners are 7th right now in yards allowed defensively, which honestly is kind of surprising to me that they're still a top 10.
Do they get a lot of penalties? Because that's can always do it. Well,
that's true.
Those don't count against them. So
that's fair. The Niners give up 22.8 points a game. That's about middle of the road. Not great, not terrible. The top defense, by the way, the Chargers give up 12.6 points a game. Damn, Chargers looking pretty damn good. Look, Kyle Shanahan is generally better after the bye. We've focused a lot about that. I don't know how good Nick Sorensen is after the bye because this is his first year as a defensive coordinator. What did he do during the bye week? What did he study? What did his sort of self-scouting unearth? Have they figured out that, like, hey, Renardo Green needs to be the slot ahead of Isaac Adam? Although doesn't look like Mooney Ward's going to play in this game, unfortunately, because obviously he's dealing with the death of his daughter. So that could put Renardo Green on the outside. So maybe we do see Isaac Adam. So that's a little frightening. But, have they figured out that D. Winters needs to play more than Devondre Campbell? D. Winters is recovering from a concussion, but he fully participated in practice yesterday. So what changes defensively will they make? That'll be something I'll be keeping an eye on Sunday as well.
Yeah, and you brought up the bye. It is interesting how much better they are after their bye than they are prior. With Kyle Shanahan, it's like he takes this week off and really just comes up with a new, game plan, I guess. But the 49ers are 16-2 in all games played after their bye week since 2022. Best in the NFL. They're 13-11 in games played prior to their bye week since 2022. So it's like they always get much better after this. I don't know what it is with Shanahan, but we saw it last year too, right? Like they started off 5-3. They had those 3 losses right in a row before their week 9 bye, finished 12-5.
Yeah, they went 7-2, and one of those games didn't even matter. It was a BS game against the Rams that Brock Purdy didn't even start. He didn't even play it. So
the year prior, 4-4, exactly where they are right now, had a week 9 bye. They won their final 9 games.
And that was with Brock Purdy coming in, like fresh off the 3rd string, like with no experience or anything. So, and that doesn't guarantee anything. Of course, we know that, but it certainly makes you feel a little warm and fuzzy down the stretch. By the way, I should give you credit, Michelle, while you're here, because I've been hyping you up all week because of all the research you did for me. Thank you for all of that. The big number that Michelle, I had a hunch and Michelle confirmed it, was the turnovers with McCaffrey. And you say it because I've been saying it all week, and it's your thing that you found out.
Oh man, well I don't have it in front of me, but
I have it memorized, so it's
okay.
The 49ers without Christian McCaffrey turned the ball over 1.6 times per game, basically
in the Kyle Shanahan era.
Right. With Christian McCaffrey, they turn the ball over half as much, literally half, 0.8 times per game. That is massive for this freaking team. Massive, massive, massive. Just that alone makes you feel so much better about their chances to win. Even if he doesn't, have a monster game and, score 6 touchdowns and run for 200 yards and all that stuff.
They're also, they have a 20. Oh man, I had it and now I lost it. The record with Christian McCaffrey as their starter, 22-2.
In the regular season.
In the regular season with Christian McCaffrey as their starter, 22-2.
That's absurd. That's like ridiculous. 22-2.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those games was probably, was it his first game where he just joined the team
as a starter? So that game doesn't count.
Oh, he didn't start that game. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that is ridiculous for a running back. But it goes to show again, like the impact that he can have. Like Kyle Shanahan said, he knows that the defense is going to have to account for him so that you win either way. And that's like the scenario that you always want. Either you try to cover him one-on-one and he owns you because he's elite, or you have to account for him. And I know how you're going to account for him, and I know where you're going to be weak because of it. And when your other options are friggin' Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Jawan Jennings, you're going to be able to punish teams. And yes, they should have been able to still do well without Christian McCaffrey, but he's back now. That should take them to another level. And I think we're going to see it this week against the Buccaneers. Unfortunately, Michelle, there aren't a ton of McCaffrey bets you can make right now as we transition to our best bets for this week. They don't, because he's not officially active yet, so there's nothing on the board that we can go on, and it makes the prop bets for me a little tricky because he sucks up so much of the opportunity when he's there. Like, you have to change your thinking because it's a different offense when he's there, and in terms of your money, you have to account for that.
Absolutely. But there are still many bets available that I feel good about, even, with Christian McCaffrey coming back. And he definitely will take up opportunities. He'll probably take up some touchdowns. But he can also do it as a passer. So that's why I like a lot of Brock Purdy ones. Or not as a passer, as a receiver. Yeah.
Right. Okay. How many best bets do you have this week?
I have many, but like they kind of all go together.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Ooh. All right.
But there's 2 for 2, like the same guys.
Okay. I've got 4. I don't feel, not going to lie, I probably don't feel 100% confident in these this week.
I feel so good. Like I feel real
good.
confident about it.
All right. Well, fire it up for us. What do you got?
All right. The first one is Purdy over 260.5 passing yards. Again, I just brought up the Buccaneers are allowing 320 passing yards per game since week 5. Mahomes put up 291 against them last week. Well, hey, let me get to the other one because I'm going to go through those quarterbacks. So I like the 260.5 passing yards for Purdy, but the one that you can make more money on, it's Purdy, 250 plus passing yards, 2+ passing touchdowns, and for the 49ers to win. Now, you need all 3 of those things to happen, and it's only plus 147. But still, you're making a lot more than going just on his passing yards, just on it, because he's expected to have 250 yards. He's expected to have 2+ passing touchdowns. But you put them all together, and you can make more than just betting on the one thing. But listen, let me go down this list of quarterbacks they faced. Mahomes last week, 291-3, and a win. So he would have easily hit this. The week prior, Kirk Cousins, 276 and 4 touchdowns and a win. Would have easily hit it. Lamar Jackson, 281, 5 touchdowns and a win. Would have easily hit this.
5.
They faced Spencer Rattler in week 6, but he got close. I mean, 243-1. They didn't get close to the win, but he got close to the yard. It's Spencer Rattler. I don't care. And then the week prior, Kirk Cousins again, 509 passing yards and 4 touchdowns and the win. So like all of these quarterbacks are hitting all of these 3 things. So that's why I like Purdy 250 plus passing yards, 2 plus passing touchdowns, and 49ers to win.
Wow. Okay. See, I just feel like if I need 3 things to happen, and it's really more than 3, because you got to get the 2 passing touchdowns and the win. Oh man, that
What do you mean? It's more than 3. It's 3. I fully expect it. Like these are all low numbers for him. The guys I just brought up destroyed these, right? It wasn't close. It's not like they were like coming close to it.
Here's the thing, though. I would feel better about it if McCaffrey wasn't there. If
he's gonna have a passing touchdown to McCaffrey this week, so he only needs 1 other passing touchdown.
Yeah, I don't know. McCaffrey could easily get all 3, because you know what's going to happen, Michelle. They're going to get in the red zone, and Kyle's going to be like, I am tired of struggling in the red zone. McCaffrey run, McCaffrey run, McCaffrey run. Because that's generally what he does. When he has him there, they just feed him the ball. So
last year with Christian McCaffrey, Purdy put up 333 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Buccaneers.
Okay.
And Christian McCaffrey did have a receiving touchdown. So
but Christian McCaffrey was there all year last year. He hasn't been here.
He had 21 carries in that game, Christian McCaffrey. And Purdy still put up 333 passing yards and 3 touchdowns.
That does make me feel a little better about it. I'm not going to lie. All right. I don't know if I would bet that one, but I could see if somebody else did. So
that's like the one I feel most confident in. So
okay. The one I feel most confident in, and the number is not great, but I just feel like it's easy money, is both teams to get to 20 points. I feel like that's pretty reasonable. It's minus 112. So you got to bet $112 to win 100, but that's still pretty good. And I feel so confident in it, Michelle. Nobody ever went broke taking a profit.
No, I mean, the Buccaneers have done it every game but one, and that was back in week 3 against the Broncos. They just had an off game. And the 49ers are giving up 20 points most games. I think they've done like 8 out of 9, or a lot of games this year. They've given up 20 points. So that could definitely happen. We fully expect for the 49ers to do it. So the only question would be on the Buccaneers side. Yeah, they've given up 20 points in 6 of their 8 games played this year.
I just feel like it's just, again, you're like, it's not going to make you rich, but like yes, please, 20 points. That's easily I don't have confidence in the Niners defense to hold the Bucs under 20. And God, if the 49ers can't score 20 points against the Buccaneers, they got real issues. So I just feel like that's easy money, which
Absolutely.
is, of course, that's exactly how they want me to feel when they take all my money.
That's the thing, right? The more confident you feel about it, the more like you're like, how did this not hit? But then it'll hit the next week, right? When it's like a really hard matchup and you're like, come on.
Right. Nick Eller, YouTube channel member, says, Rob, I think the difference with McCaffrey won't be a red zone rushing touchdown. They'll convert long plays into a touchdown because of the extra attention paid to Christian McCaffrey in the flat. That could be true. The Niners do have an excellent ability to score long touchdowns from outside the red zone. I think George Kittle, like over the past 2 years, has more touchdowns outside the red zone than inside the red zone, which is absurd, but that's just how this offense rolls. So that might be a good point by you, Nick. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about George Kittle then, because I have him at over 59.5 receiving yards. Now, this one I'm a little bit worried about because Christian McCaffrey's back, right? Does he steal the Kittle work that he's been getting so many targets lately? And I love to see it. But the Buccaneers, the last 2 weeks, they let Travis Kelce catch 14 balls for 100 yards. And then the prior week, Kyle Pitts had 91 yards and 2 touchdowns on 4 catches. So they can be beat by these tight ends. Now, Kelce and Pitts are both good tight ends, right? George Kittle might be better than both of them. Well, definitely better than Kyle Pitts. It might be better than Travis Kelce at this stage in their career. And I hope Kittle's usage doesn't go away. I mean, 7 targets, a huge last 2 games of 92 yards, 128 yards, and a touchdown against the Cowboys. They also have a line with Kittle to have 70 plus receiving yards and a touchdown at plus 249. And if you want to add in a 49ers win, then it's plus 336 for him to have 70 plus yards and a touchdown and for them to win. But last year against the Bucs, with Christian McCaffrey getting 21 carries, with him getting a touchdown, Christian McCaffrey, Kittle had 8 receptions, 89 yards, and a touchdown against the Buccaneers.
I think what you're going to see with Kittle is this is not going to be a George Kittle has 8 catches for 60 yards. I think
He's
it's
like 4 catches for 80 yards.
it could even be like 2 or 3 catches for 80 yards. Like, I think what you're going to see is probably less catches, less opportunity for Kittle, but bigger gains when he gets those opportunity because of the space that McCaffrey can open up. So I see on the receiving yards, I actually had Kittle anytime touchdown as one of my best bets, plus 120, which is a very nice number. They've been going to him in the red zone. Again, how much does Christian McCaffrey change that? I don't know. I almost wonder if we might get a Christian McCaffrey pass in this game, right? Because he's there. He's the new toy. Everybody expects them to go to him. Maybe Kyle decides to pull it out. We've seen it before. He had a touchdown in the Rams game, a passing touchdown. Obviously, he caught the trick play in the Super Bowl. Maybe Kyle dials that up at one point.
I don't think this is the defense you need to waste that against them.
True.
This should be too easy of a defense to have to do a trick play.
So I like your Kittle yardage bet, and I'm going to take Kittle anytime touchdown at plus 120 again.
Well, if you like that, then why wouldn't you put the two together for plus 249?
Because I don't the fewer things that need to happen for me to win money, the better.
But you make more money if they happen.
Yes, that's true. But like Kittle could have 1 catch for 1 yard and a touchdown, and I would still win my bet.
Okay. But you said you liked his receiving yards.
I know, but your receiving yardage total is higher, right? For that parlay, it's 70.
Yeah, this one it's 70. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last 2 weeks he's at 128 and 92.
And he certainly could do it. It always seems to come down to like how much do they just want to throw him the ball. If they decide to throw him the ball, he will continue to put up those numbers because he's a friggin' beast. Okay, what else you got?
I have Juwan Jennings to have a touchdown and 49ers to win at plus 263. This is the one I feel least good about. But the Buccaneers have allowed 9 receiving touchdowns to wide receivers since week 5, tied for most in the NFL from weeks 5 through 9. So just been DeAndre Hopkins last week. You saw the 2 touchdowns to him. The last time I brought up, like the last time we seen Juwan Jennings have to replace the starting wide receiver, he went off for 3 touchdowns. Now, those are only his 3 touchdowns of the year. And we have not got to see him play yet without Brandon Ayuk. We don't know what his usage will be, but I do think he's going to be on the field a ton.
Oh, he'll definitely be on the field a ton. The interesting thing to me is, number one, can he continue to put up like he has? I hope so. I think he can. But then number 2, does Ricky Pearsall now transition into the Juwan Jennings role? If Jennings is going to be wide receiver 2, is Pearsall now the third down guy?
They're so different, though. They have such different bodies.
Pearsall, I think, has better hands than Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings is more physical than Ricky Pearsall for sure. Better
contested catches. I mean, that's why they go to him on third down. I feel like is the contested catch ability and just. I know I was a Jennings hater before the season.
Yeah,
he's really, there's still some plays where I'm like, see, those are his limits, right? He has limitations for sure as like an athlete, but getting to see him just like moss people this year has been really fun. So he's turned me into a fan for sure.
Pearsall is definitely more physical than Jennings is definitely more physical than Ricky Pearsall. But the one thing with Jennings, on third down, they keep finding a way to just have him run these out routes, and he gets open all the time, and they convert these like 3rd and 4 Jennings out route. It's like so easy. And I have to say, like, Pearsall can run those routes too. So in that way, I think they may be able to use him the same way. I'm just excited to see Ricky Pearsall. I think that, he's had a few weeks to get, back with conditioning and get things under his belt and adjust to the speed of the game. And Kyle clearly likes him. He in that interview with KMBR he was just sort of talking about the wide receivers in general and continuity with the wide receivers. And he said, now that we've got these 3 guys, and I was like, wait a minute, these 3 guys are Debo, Jennings, and Pearsall. Pearsall is the 3rd guy in those 3. So just to hear him talk about Pearsall that way was exciting for me. So again, I'm like good vibes only, like full hype mode this week, which is new for me.
Listen, I would love Pearsall to just like have a huge game. That'd be so fun to see from him. But also, just to go back to Jennings here, after seeing what he did in that catch in that week 3 game, where I don't remember what defender he mossed, but it's just insane. Why not use him as an end zone target way more? Just throw it. He's so tall. Throw it up high. let him just come down with it. Like I would like that could also fix some end zone issues and getting some more touchdowns. Like utilize these big guys that are physical and just throw it up to them, at the back of the goal line and let them come down with it.
I feel like the Niners don't really run a ton of fades, especially in the red zone. That's
like not at all.
And
it's all over the middle, which makes me very nervous because that's where the interceptions come.
Yeah, I don't love fades. Like, I don't want that to become a staple, but I do.
I love it when you have like an AJ Brown or a DK Metcalf or Johan Jennings is not close to those guys, but he can come down with those type of plays.
Pearsall can make some crazy catches too.
Oh my God. Like you're obsessed with Pearsall right now. I'm rooting for him because of what happened to him, but he's not a very good player. So just relax.
I don't think, how can you say that? He's played 2 games.
I didn't like his production in school. I'll just say that.
I know, but you also
I'm rooting for him like no other because his story's amazing and I hope the best for him. I didn't love his production coming out of school. He had that one great catch, and that's the only reason he was drafted so early. That's it.
Strawberry React says they were throwing nothing but fades the first 6 weeks. No, they weren't. I'm talking about like where you clear out one side of the end zone for the guy and he basically just runs a little quick fade and then you just throw up a 50-50 ball. They were not doing nothing.
Yeah, she's thinking more like downfield throws, like go routes and stuff like that.
I'm talking about specifically like from like the 2-yard line, those type of things. Cynthia says, fantasy question, should I start Denver's defense or the Niners? I wouldn't start the Niners defense. Who's Denver playing this week?
The Chiefs. I would go with the Broncos. Mahomes has been turning over the ball. He should have turned over the ball to lose that Buccaneers game, but he got lucky. So I'd go with the Broncos.
Yeah, I would agree. 100%. Nick Ellert says Michelle has a new player she hates. Pearsall, good for him. Hated Mason, hated Jennings.
I don't hate Pearsall. I don't hate any players unless it's like Deshaun Watson. But I don't hate Pearsall. I just didn't love his production coming out of school. And Sats is talking him up like he's gonna be like some god for this team.
I never said that. I said he can make good contested catches. He's got good hands.
And to be fair, I was right about Mason. He's just a guy. That's what we've learned throughout this time because that's what he is. He's just a guy.
That's mean. Before he got hurt, he was killing it.
He's fine on the ground.
He was leading the NFL in rushing.
He runs really hard, but you saw that start to break down. Like that you can't be running like that and save your body, and it just doesn't work unless you're Derrick Henry. But Mason's just a dude. He can't do anything else special besides, pound some guys heavily. But those guys start to break down, and it just doesn't work.
He can't do anything special besides pound some guys heavily. Got it. That's not going to live for all time.
I don't know how I don't know why those things come out of my mouth.
How do you do you not know we record the show? That's all I'm saying. That'll be on the reel at the end of the year for sure. Okay. My next best bet. Again, this is another one I feel good about. More passing touchdowns for Baker Mayfield than Brock Purdy. It's plus money, plus 110. Baker's leading the NFL in touchdown passes, or before the Thursday Night Football game, he was anyway, leading the NFL in touchdown passes. I think that Christian McCaffrey is going to get the ball in the red zone. He'll score on the ground. I think that this, to me, seems easy. If the Buccaneers score, they're going to do it through the air.
See, I don't think this one seems easy because Brock could also put up 4 touchdowns. I just listed off all of the touchdowns that, quarterbacks are throwing against the Buccaneers this year. And it's 3 for Mahomes, 4 for Cousins, 5 for Lamar, again, 4 for Cousins. And these are not guys that are putting up huge touchdown numbers in other games besides Lamar Jackson. So that's my worry that Brock could very easily throw 3-4 touchdowns in this game. Do I think Baker will throw for 2 passing touchdowns? For sure. And that's why I like his 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's not going to be as big as your plus 110. I think it's like minus 110, but I'd still rather just take that little difference and feel better about it. It's Baker over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He needs 2. He's had 2+ in 6 straight games. As you said, he's leading the league in passing touchdowns from through week 9. Yeah. He's on pace for 43 passing touchdowns this year.
Damn.
Poor guy has a losing record. He would be only the second quarterback in NFL history to miss the playoffs after they threw for 40 receiving touchdowns. Or no, 2 other guys did it. Dan Marino did it in 1986 and Drew Brees did it in 2012. But he'd be the 3rd guy to do it.
To miss the playoffs with 40+ passing touchdowns. Damn. That's crazy.
That's why I hate that. So, like, I'm excited for this game because the defense stinks for the Buccaneers. I hate, though, that I have to root against Baker because I would love Baker to make the playoffs. I always root for Baker. I have the soft spot for Baker Mayfield. I really do. So it stinks that he has to lose again, and I feel bad for him.
The over-under is 50.5. So Vegas is expecting, a pretty damn good game. I don't know if it's going to be like Thursday Night Football last night was awesome. I was loving that game.
I would have loved it to go into overtime.
Yeah, well, turns out the referees need to throw a damn flag on the important. I hate that so much. Just quick side note, I hate that people always say, let them play. You don't want the refs to decide the game. They can do that by not throwing a flag too. There should have been another chance for Cincinnati on that 2-point conversion. Period. End of story.
There should have been, but it was still an awful play call.
There was defensive holding. Joe Burrow got hit in the head, and there was a face mask. Like, call something. I don't understand how you get to the most critical, most important parts of the game, and you say, no rules. Now we're going to throw the rules out.
How does this keep happening on every big primetime game? Like, how does everyone keep ending with the refs messing up? Like,
yeah,
they keep coming down. The sky judges keep coming down and like helping during the game. Why are they not helping at the end of these games and fixing it? Like, you don't get it why they can do it for some things and not for others. Just like no one would care if you make the right call. No one's going to get upset and say, hey, we missed this, but they just told us about the face mask for calling it. Like, yeah, it was that. I mean, no one can be upset. Yeah, Ravens fans are going to be like, oh, like this sucks. But you can't argue that it was a penalty.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, for objective stuff, I'm not saying for holding. I'm saying for purely, did he get hit in the head? Was there a face mask like we saw with Sam Darnold in the end zone? Like, you might be mad that they're using it to correct it, like you said, but the rule was broken. It is clear. Call the penalty. It's so stupid that we can't do that. It's 2024 when everybody watching on their high screen giant televisions can see it clear as day. Then the officials should be able to do something about it. And it's
the silliest thing of all time that like they didn't like that they were just like, oh, we can't do anything about was when the Rams so clearly pass interfered the Saints receiver at the end of that game to go to the Super Bowl. Remember, in the NFC Championship a few years back. How in the world can't you just be like, you know what? I messed up. Like, that was so clearly, like, they all told me it was so clearly pass interference. I messed up. We're going to call it. Like, I just don't get why they're so stubborn about this. It's just such an easy thing to fix. It's such an easy thing to fix.
That one's crazy because, like, they should have just huddled up on the field, and the other ref should have been like, dude,
like, he mauled him. He tackled him before the pass got there. Like, how did they not fix that? And it's like, I get it. It's human error and you're going to make some small mistakes, but there's so many things you can put in place to make sure it's not just on one guy and making one. Like, it's hard to pay attention to everything. But yeah, the reffing situation, just make it better. It would be so easy.
Diego Figueroa, YouTube channel member, says, Rob, you just wanted to show off that you have a new big TV. 100%. And let me just tell you, watching that game on the 4K with the streaming, it was so nice. The Bengals jerseys, the white was like popping off the screen. It was just I just sitting there like, I don't even care that much who wins this game, but I just can't stop. I can't take my eyes off it because the damn players look so good.
It was a fun game, but also like the coaching decisions lately are driving me crazy too. Like everyone's coaching decisions watching it. Like I don't know why we keep talking about last night's game, but the fact that they took a timeout when they're at like the 2-yard line to stop the clock with like 40 seconds to go, even if they got that 2-point conversion, you're giving Lamar Jackson 2 timeouts and 40 seconds to go get a field goal. Like, what is wrong with coaches too? Like, what is wrong with their time management? Go play some Madden or something. Like, go figure it out. Like, what are you doing? You could have ran off another 20 seconds. You're at the 2-yard line. You don't have to worry about your timeouts.
If you're at the 2-yard line, you can run 2 plays in 7 seconds. Like,
yes. Like you don't have to worry about your time. It's
right.
Like, and also they would have still had their timeout then. So you run a play at 20 seconds, you get tackled before the end zone, then you have the timeout. Like I think they would have lost even if they got the 2-point conversion, honestly.
Anyway, I have another best bet. This is the best bet that I make every week, and you're probably not going to like it, but I'm going Bosa over a half sack. It's plus 100. We know that he and Baker have had some beef. And Nick in the past has said that that's squash, that he doesn't have it. I just flat out think he's lying. I don't believe it. I think he wants to sack Baker Mayfield. I think he will sack Baker Mayfield. And it's plus money. I love plus money.
He needs to start getting some sacks. That's for sure. Like, turn your pressures into sacks. But I mean, the Buccaneers line isn't great. He should be able to get some pressure on Baker. Baker is a good scrambler, but he's definitely he's going to hold on to that ball. There's one thing that Baker will definitely do because he's trying to make the big plays. Lately, he has been getting out a little bit faster. Like, he's having a really good year, but he can be sacked. I don't hate it. I like that.
I'm taking it. I just think that Bosa, number one, does have to step up his game. He's been playing well, but like, you have to finish. Like, yes, the pressures are good and all that stuff, but also there's something to be said for finishing the job. I think he's going to do it against Baker. So I'll go Bosa over 0.5 sacks. I don't care if it's 2 half sacks or if it's the 1 sack, whatever you got to do, Nick, but get it done.
Like it.
Do you have any more?
I don't. I gave you all mine.
Recap those real quick, please.
All right. I got to go to the top here. So it was Purdy. I like just the 260.5 passing yards, but if you want to go further, I like Purdy 250 plus passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and for the 49ers to win at plus 147. I get it. You need 3 things to happen, but I feel very confident about it. George Kittle over 59.5 receiving yards. If you want to get crazier, Kittle to have 70 plus receiving yards and a touchdown at plus 249. If you want to get even crazier, add in the 49ers win at plus 336. Jawan Jennings to have 1 touchdown and the 49ers to win at plus 263. And Baker to have over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I did not write down those odds, but I believe they're at minus 110. Maybe minus 117.
I feel like a lot of your bets just depend on how many sips of the mimosa you've had. And the more sips you've had, the
when I came up with these, I had 0 sips of mimosa. I just poured this right before the show.
Baker Mayfield over, what is it? Over the touchdowns, by the way. The 1.5 is minus 104.
Okay. Oh, that's better than I thought. That's great. But I like that so much better than your Baker to have more than Purdy at plus 110. Why even risk that just for that little tiny difference?
I think it's more likely. Knees says, did you see Mayoko talking about the offensive line and its future?
Wait. I'm sorry. I just cut you off. Read it again.
Knees says, did you see Mayoko talking about the offensive line and its future? He said, long-term, the front office could see Purdy as a replacement if and when Trent Williams retires. Did you want to talk about that, or did you want to go back to the other thing we were talking about?
Let's talk about this, and then I'll prove you wrong in a second.
Why move Dominic Purdy? He's kicking ass right where he is. How about you just draft a left tackle instead? Like, look, we're a long way away from this, or at least we don't have to worry about it for the rest of this year. But like, why move?
You keep Purdy right where he is?
Yeah,
this will mess him up. I know we keep going and talking about other teams, but for my Steelers, Broderick Jones last year to start his first half of his rookie season was killing it as left tackle, killing it. He looked so good as a rookie. Then a player got injured. They moved him to right tackle. And instead of just, finding a different replacement for right tackle, they move him right tackle. Disaster. And now they keep moving him back and forth. He cannot figure it out anymore. It's like they ruined his development. It's been terrible. Purdy's playing so well at guard. Don't mess that up. Keep him there. Finding good guards is really hard too. Like, keep him where he is.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I go back to that old Mitch Hedberg line. You're a really good cook. Can you farm? Like, no, don't ask him to do something related to the thing that he's already really good at doing. Just leave him right where he is. I don't know why you would want to mess that up. But thank you, Knees, for the super chat. We really do appreciate it. Okay, go ahead. What did you want to? You're disputing the fact that I think that it's more likely that Baker throws more touchdowns than Brock Purdy.
Okay, but if you think that's more likely, then you definitely think he throws for 2 passing touchdowns. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, I think
he has to throw for 2 passing touchdowns to throw more than Purdy. You would really, unless CMC goes off for 4 touchdowns and they lose in the game if Purdy doesn't have 2.
I could easily see a scenario where Purdy gets a touchdown, Christian McCaffrey has 2 rushing touchdowns, and like Jordan Mason or Isaac Guerrero has 1.
So again, Baker then still would have 2. So it can't be more likely that it's going to happen because you fully think that Baker's going to have 2 passing touchdowns. Like, you feel 100% confident about that.
I could see a scenario where Brock doesn't have any passing touchdowns.
Oh my goodness. Well, that would be real bad against this defense.
Well, it depends how well they run the ball. because I do think they'll score.
I mean, the Buccaneers have a pretty solid run defense. I mean, I know Kareem Hunt came on at the end of the last game, but they were holding him pretty well. Vita Vea is like no joke up the middle. So
Oh my God.
they should be passing.
He's
Vita Vea is a
beast.
if he was coming running towards me, I would start crying instantly. I don't know how these quarterbacks do it.
Yeah, like in a game of freaks and freak bodies and freak athletes like Vita Vea, he's 6'4", 347, and I'm not gonna lie, I think that 347 is being kind.
Fooney has a good matchup this week if whenever he gets Vea on his side.
Yeah, let's just put him at tackle though. Like, no, leave him alone.
Can we please keep Vea away from Brock Purdy? Because if I see him running towards Brock Purdy, I'm going to have a meltdown. Keep Purdy alive, and the way you do that is not letting Vita Vea touch him.
They don't have a Brock Purdy over-under on rush yards. We've been making a lot of money on that bet, like every week. If
it was on other apps, it's about 13 rushing yards, so that's probably where they'll put him on here. But he hasn't been checking down as much, right? Because he hasn't had Christian McCaffrey. What if now instead of taking off and run, he just checks down to McCaffrey? That's my biggest worry with his rushing yards this week.
And that does make a lot of sense. That's legitimate. But I do think that like he might only run once, but he might get that. He's really good when he freaking runs, man. Even when guys are closing in on him, he always finds a way to like worm around or like dive forward. And so I would still take that over. Keep your eye out on that as we get closer to the game and see what you can get. Because like I said, we've been making money on that every single week and nobody ever went broke taking a profit. By the way, really quick, my best bets for the week are Bosa, at least 1 sack, George Kittle, anytime touchdown, more passing touchdowns for Baker than Brock Purdy, and both teams to get to 20 points. So those are the ones that I have selected for the week. Best of luck to you. Good luck to everybody. Michelle, I always ask you on Fridays, what do you got going on this weekend, Social Butterfly?
I actually have a very fun weekend. In a few hours, I leave for Austin. I live in Houston, so only a few hour drive. Leave for Austin. Gonna hang out there tonight, and then in the morning, go to the Texas-Florida game. Pumped for that. I'm a big Texas fan, big Longhorns fan. Very excited. This will be my first like true college football game. I've been to Syracuse football games when I was younger, but like those don't really count. Those don't count. Like this is gonna be the true, real first one. I'm so excited. And then staying the night again in Austin tomorrow. But yeah, and then coming back on Sunday to work. But it's gonna be a real fun weekend.
That is that is gonna be an environment like you are not gonna believe.
I'm so excited. I'm going with 3 other Texas fans, but also 1 Florida fan. So she's gonna be wearing Florida gear. It's gonna be interesting. Woo.
And you're gonna have to be seen with this Gators fan.
I know.
Like, how friendly are you really though? Can you just disown her for 4 hours?
I can for sure. This girl, like I don't even really know her. She's a girlfriend of one of my friends.
There you go, friend of a friend. Beat it.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be a ton of fun. Andre says Rob's going to rewatch the Super Bowl on the big screen. It's a good idea, Andre. I could really, dive into.
Rob's going to come and visit Texas for his birthday.
That might be happening for my 40th birthday. We may be going to visit Michelle and her wife Kate in Texas. So
let's go.
Yeah, that is.
We're gonna have to live stream some of those fun.
We're gonna have to do a show. Yeah, it would just in person.
In-person show would be so fun.
Do you have 2 microphones in the same room though?
I could, yeah. I have Kate's that I can move over here.
All right, there we go. All right, well, enjoy your weekend. That sounds like it's going to be really freaking fun. I am definitely jealous of you, but that's going to be very cool for you. Before we go, just want to give another special thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Once again, if you want to sign up for BetUS, use promo code YouTube150. By the way, Levin is not going to be around for the Instant React, so I got a solo Instant Reaction show. So I'm going to need everybody to join up after the game. If you don't know, we're live after every single 49ers game here on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on Twitch. Also, we love the Twitch fam. So please join me because I'm going to need your questions and your comments. We'll react to the game. We'll react to the post-game quotes and all of that stuff. So please join us for that. If this is your first live stream, thank you. Please give us some of your time. Click the like, click the subscribe button. I promise you, we won't let you down. Have a good weekend. Michelle, enjoy the rest of that mimosa, which, let's be honest, I know you would do even if I didn't say it. And I'll talk to you next week.
Bye, y'all.